Hi, if you have seen my last video, you'll know that I had gone on a trip to Japan. So now that I'm back home, I'm excited to talk to you about all the books I got and a totally unexpected new favorite story I finished while we were there. Stay tuned to find out what it is. But first, let me tell you about the books I bought. With my husband, we visited a store called Books Kinokuniya in Shinjuku, Tokyo, which was said to have a wide selection of English books. At first, when we got to the English section, I was a bit disappointed. The display had some Agatha Christie, Miyako Kawakami, The Great Gatsby, but nothing unique that I haven't already seen in bookstores in Europe. Although one book caught my eye, titled Hyo and the Deep-Rooted Demon, a Japanese-inspired YA fantasy which contained illustrations by the author, which I thought was really cool. I also spotted László Krasznahorkai's work on display, which is always extra special as I'm Hungarian, and it warms my heart to see how wide-reaching his work is now after the Literature Nobel Prize. But after the very generic display came the real treasure trove of Japanese poetry books and Japanese crime novels, which was waiting for us just in the corner. So many interesting books I've never even heard about. The store was a bit busy and we had limited luggage space, so in the end I only picked up one physical copy there and got the rest as ebooks. Translated Japanese poetry books are so hard to find here in Austria or even in Hungary, even though they enjoy popularity in Hungarian translations, so I knew that if I could only pick up one physical book, it had to be this one. It's titled The Illustrated Book of Japanese Haiku, A Journey Through the Seasons with Japan's Best-Loved Poets. What drew me in is the illustrated aspect and the fact that the works are grouped around the seasons. I could picture myself reaching for this book in each season and experiencing the poems exactly in the right moment. I have to admit, I'm not very familiar with Japanese poets right now, so I thought picking up an anthology like this one could introduce a wide range of authors to me, and possibly later I could look into my favorite ones. Since June just started, I will most definitely read the summer section first. Going from summer to a more wintry theme, I had seen Yasunari Kawabata's Snow Country in this cloth-bound edition before, but had never felt compelled to pick it up to read the blurb until I had visited the bookstore. I think this won't be everyone's cup of tea. It's a tragic love story between a man and a geisha set in rural Japan, centered around themes of emotional isolation, unfulfilled desire, and the fleeting nature of beauty. It's below 200 pages, so you would think it would be a quick read. But I have found that with Japanese fiction, every sentence is packed with so much meaning. There are always so many emotional layers to the characters, actions, and words, so it's best to read it slowly, really taking it all in. Next up, I was surprised to see how many Japanese crime fiction books the bookstore had, so I browsed around and two I ended up getting as ebooks. One of them is Tokyo Express, or sometimes translated as Points and Lines, by Seichō Matsumoto, published in 1958. The author is dubbed as Japan's Agatha Christie, and seeing that the story follows two detectives and the mysterious death of a young couple spanning all the way from Fukuoka to Tokyo, it has high potential to be an exciting read, full of deception and puzzles. And strangely enough, when we were in Fukuoka, we were staying at Hakata, which is exactly where the story starts and where the corpses are found. Interesting. The other book, The Decagon House Murders, is also from a highly acclaimed author, this time featuring a locked room mystery centered around an impossible crime. We follow a group of university students who visit an island where multiple murders took place before, and predictably, they also start getting picked off one by one. The blurb promises a bombshell revelation which few readers will see coming, and that sounded intriguing enough for me to pick it up. As opposed to, for example, Thursday Murder Club, I don't expect deep character studies or the exploration of interpersonal relationships in these stories, but what I do expect is clever plotting and mystery building, so let's see which one I will like more. The last book is something very different, both in plot and tonality. Reading The Full Moon Coffee Shop and also the book, which I will talk about in the second half, made me realize that I really enjoy this particular genre of contemporary fiction, these interconnected short stories often centered around everyday life moments or struggles, and usually with an uplifting message in the end. In Hot Chocolate on Monday from Michiko Aoyama, we have a cafe as our setting, with a woman ordering her regular hot chocolate every day, wondering about the lives of others who frequent the cafe. I really like this line from the blurb, which cuts to the heart of the story. Without even realizing it, we may touch and change someone else's life. Between all the melancholic and dark reads of murder mysteries I picked up, this book will deliver a wholesome reading experience, I'm sure of it. Besides the book haul, I also wanted to talk to you about one particular story that I read while I was there, which ended up being my new favorite Japanese fiction story. If you have watched my previous video, it will come as no surprise that I will be talking about What You Are Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Aoyama. I think someone recommended it to me in a comment some time ago, and for that I'm very grateful. This book fits exactly into the genre I have described before. We follow 5 people of different ages and backgrounds, all of them who find themselves at Sayuri Komachi's library, seeking something they have a hard time naming, and they all receive exactly the right kind of guidance through book recommendations. What I found fascinating is how the author was able to put feelings into words. Every character had one thing or another that we as readers could relate to, even if our lives must be very different than, for example, a freshly retired Japanese business manager. The story is connected in small but meaningful ways, and another interesting aspect was how all of these people got to the same library, but through different journeys, and how their perception of Sayuri Komachi differed, but was also similar at times. Like, we got the basics of her being slightly intimidating and tall, but different characters focused on different aspects of her, often related to their own backgrounds, and that was a very fun way of perceiving a character subjectively through other people's eyes. I'm not sure I'm explaining this well, but if you read it, hopefully you know what I mean. If you haven't read it, and perhaps you're looking to pick up your first Japanese fiction book, or you feel a bit lost in your everyday life, and you're looking for something heartwarming and uplifting, I wholeheartedly recommend this book. Let me know what are your Japanese fiction favorites, or if you have been to Japan, which books you picked up there. Let's chat in the comments. See you in my next video, potentially the mid-year book freakout tag, as we are now in June. Crazy, right? Until then, take care. Bye!